With the Super Bowl being just a few weeks away, fans have been treated to some of the best games in NFL history. But since the festive season is over, it's pretty easy to miss out on the latest headlines revolving around the league. So what should fans of the sport know about what's happening in the NFL right now, and how might this change things in the future? For all of this and more, stay tuned. First of all, let's talk about the fine that's just been issued against Dak Prescott. The big-armed quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys drew quite a bit of attention last Sunday when he seemed to give credit to fans who had decided to throw trash onto the field after his team's disappointing loss against the San Francisco 49ers. According to sources, Prescott was under the assumption that the crowd was mad at the officials officiating the game, and since he had some beef with them after a couple of questionable decisions, he thought that the horrendous fan engagement was actually justified. When asked in an interview what he thought of the crowd antics, he responded by saying credit to them, which obviously drew a large cheer from the supporters who had aimed the trash at both players and officials. But it looks like Dak Prescott has somewhat changed his tune now after the NFL has fined him an amount of $25,000. He apologized earlier this week for his conduct, emphasizing the fact that he was clearly upset about the 23-17 loss to the 49ers, but at least he took ownership of the mistake he made by tweeting, "I deeply regret the comments I made," followed by, "I was caught up in the emotion of a disappointing loss, and my words were uncalled for and unfair." Some fans believe the officials were in the wrong, though, for delaying the game after Prescott mistakenly handed the ball to a player rather than the referee in an attempt to save time. But that's sport for you. There's no doubt about it, though. This last weekend was a blockbuster one. By far the greatest and most divisive game of the weekend was the one played against the Kansas City Chiefs and Buffalo Bills, which saw Patrick Mahomes absolutely crushing the competition in the last 13 seconds of the game. When it comes to sport in general, last-ditch efforts are especially attractive and happen quite often, but this isn't usually the case in the NFL, which has teams exercising a number of delaying tactics in an attempt to prevent last-ditch efforts from taking place. That being said, it seemed like nothing could stop the powerhouse quarterback from the Kansas City Chiefs, who marched his team across the field with massive completions of 19 and 25 yards that allowed the Chiefs to secure a draw with a field goal and smash the game into overtime. Mahomes then went beast mode in overtime, where he completed each pass he threw, including the touchdown pass to tight end Travis Kelce, which won the game for the Chiefs. Fans couldn't believe their eyes. The Chiefs were just 13 seconds from defeat, but somehow ended up with a fire beneath them that couldn't be put out by the Bills. And just like that, the tables had turned, with cameras panning to an emotional Josh Allen. Suffice to say, the league exploded on Twitter, with many fans referring to the game as the best ever played in the history of the NFL. But as we mentioned earlier, things were about to get divisive. You see, fans are now suggesting that the rules of overtime should be somewhat changed. This isn't the first time that such a suggestion has been made, with even the Kansas City Chiefs asking for an amendment around 2 years ago. But why are some fans calling for this change, and will it make a difference to the game we love? Well, statistics show that around 90% of the time, the team that wins the coin toss to go first during overtime wins the game. This is especially true when we have a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, who went up against the Buffalo Bills, who are both highly offensive teams with relatively average defense. And since overtime's won by the first team who can score in the end zone, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that the team going first will have a massive advantage over the team that will be defending their drive. Because of this, teams have been asking for an amendment to the rules for quite some time now. Rather than deciding things in a golden goal fashion, some have suggested that the entirety of overtime be played, with the team scoring the most points within this period being deemed the winners of the game. It's definitely something that the league should be thinking about in the future, but we doubt the Kansas City Chiefs will be leading the charge of change considering how their last game went. They have to concentrate on their next game against the Cincinnati Bengals after all. Fans of Tom Brady were also happy to hear from the quarterback this weekend, and it sounds like he's keeping his head up despite his season coming to an end in the defeat of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by the Los Angeles Rams. For those of you who don't know, Brady is a 7-time Super Bowl champion who has clearly had his fair share of time in the spotlight, but over and above this impressive feat of his, the man's also a husband and father. This is why many fans have been concerned that he won't be returning in the next season to lead the Buccaneers to another victorious drive. When asked in an interview whether he would be returning, he said that he couldn't make that decision right now, as it would require a lot of thought at the end of the day. He went on to admit that football is one of the most important things in his life, but that he just can't think of what's best for him. His continuation isn't about what he wants to do after all, but about what's best for his family. He then went on to open up about this decision on the Let's Go podcast, where he told Jim Gray that his children and wife are his biggest supporters. And since he's gotten older, it pains them to see him get hit out on the field. So it sounds like Brady might be taking a step back, but whether this will lead to his retirement, we'll just have to see. Speaking of, Antonio Brown has another quarterback in mind after his release. The former All-Pro wide receiver made another media appearance a couple days ago, which took fans by surprise considering how he was just released from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But what surprised his followers even more is how candid the NFL star was about what franchise he would like to play for next. This isn't the first time he drew a crowd with his words, though. He appeared on the I Am Athlete podcast a few days back, where he was asked by Marshall who he'd like his next quarterback to be, and without skipping a beat, Brown name-dropped Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens. Marshall was somewhat taken aback by this response, which gave Antonio time to explain why it's an easy decision for him to make. Not only is Jackson great at throwing the ball, he also has an exciting and dynamic style of play that encourages the offense to work hard to achieve greatness. And it sounds like Jackson was a fan of the interview, as the quarterback quickly took to Twitter, where he shared the clip and captioned it with the purple smiling devil emoji. This has caused many to wonder whether something's going on behind the scenes between Antonio Brown and the Ravens. But as of right now, these are nothing more than unsubstantiated rumors. Jackson has said in recent interviews that he'd be happy if his team ended up signing Antonio after all. Last but not least, let's check in with Gayle Benson, as the owner of the New Orleans Saints has been pretty vocal in recent days about the future of Sean Payton with the team. For those of you who don't know, rumors have been circulating about Payton retiring from his position as head coach of the New Orleans Saints, and it appears there is some heft to these rumors now that Benson has confirmed that Payton's 2022 season status is somewhat pending at the moment. When asked straight up about whether Payton would be returning, the Saints owner went on to say that, "I don't think any of us know, but he'll let us know soon enough." In other words, it sounds like the ball is very much in Payton's court right now, even though he is still under contract up until 2024. And with a massive number of teams wanting a piece of the coach if he does decide to leave the Saints, fans can't wait to hear what his final decision is. And there you have it, everything you need to know about the NFL season that will soon be coming to an end. What do you think about the proposed rule change, though? And who will you be supporting in the Super Bowl? Feel free to let us know in the comment section down below.